Welcome to my channel. This video is for a spring wreath. I'll be using 10-inch ombre deco mesh. Please subscribe and don't forget to tap that bell for notifications on my uploads and live streams. If you have a plain wire wreath form like this one's a 14-inch, then you need to attach wire tinsel like this or chenille stems, or you can use cable ties. But if you're attaching the wires or the chenille stems, this is how you would attach them. And I'm going to wrap the mesh around it twice, so I need to attach wires for each of those. So each section will have 2 wires attached, and I don't like attaching to the outermost wire and the innermost wire because the mesh will roll in or roll out. So I'm using this 12-inch wreath form that already has the ties attached, and I'm just folding them in and out so it'll be easier when I'm working the mesh. So this is a 10-inch ombre mesh. I'm just taking the plastic and the tape off before I unravel it. Now those 2 wires are closest together, so I'm going to start and end there. Now you can just gather the mesh and make a little tail like that and start like that, or you can make a loop with it, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm measuring out about 12 inches and just making a loop and then gathering it, making sure both pieces are there where I gather it so it doesn't come undone. So those 2 wires, I'm going to start right there. I'm just going to place that in there where it's gathered and then pull those tight and give it one good twist. Now I'll be attaching other stuff to this, or maybe more mesh, so I don't want to twist it a bunch of times and then have to unravel it. So I measured out another 12 inches, gathered it, and again pulling it tight with those tinsel wires and then giving it a good twist. And just keep measuring out. You can make them bigger than this if you want to. This is just a good guide to go by. Now I'm gonna go around the outer part first, and then I'll go around the inner part. So here I go, fast forwarding it, showing you the outer, and now I'm moving to the upper part. Now I'm just gonna go all the way around again, and when you finish, you can cut that off and in there, or you can go ahead and go back around it, and I'm going to zigzag up and down with the rest of the mesh and go back around it a 3rd time. And then when you get to the end like this, make sure you're careful about taking it off. They're usually stapled to that thing, and you can either attach it and leave that little spiral on there that's left over. A cute little spiral. Sometimes it's a fun addition. If you don't like that, then just make one last loop with whatever is left on the mesh. You want to take your sign and figure out where you're going to attach it. Do you want it in the center? Do you want it off to the side? Just kind of figure that out, and then you can attach your whatever you're using on the back of it, whether it's chenille stems or whatever. These are cable tie mounts, and they have a sticky backing, but I'm not going to trust that, so I'm putting E6000 glue over that sticky backing and sticking. I'm doing 4 of them, so I will be able to run the chenille stem through these. So after I get all 4 on with the E6000, I'm going to then go over it with hot glue around the edges. That way I know it's nice and secure. The hot glue is going to make sure that it's stuck now, but the E6000 is going to make sure it stays for a long time. So I just started getting these. This is the first time I'm actually using these, so I'm excited to see how they turn out. Now I'm going to make my bow while that's drying. You never want to go ahead and attach your sign while it's drying. Okay, so I am doing 6-inch tails in 6-inch loop. I'm doing a center loop, and that's the only loop I'm doing on this one. This is going to be a layered bow, and so it's going to have several layers and different ribbons. So 6 inches for both tails and 6 inches for that center loop. Now remember, when you tie off this bow, your chenille stem or whatever wire you're using is going to go through the center of that center loop. So now I'm working on my 2nd layer. Again, I'm doing 6 inches. This is just the size of the bow and the style of the bow I'm making. You can make any kind of bow you want. I have tons and tons of bow tutorials, and so I try to make different ones each time to give you guys just inspiration for different things. So this one has 2 loops, 2 tails. I want tails going both ways on the wreath, up and down and kind of off to the sides too. So, and I got these clips I got from DollarTree. They're metal with pink on them, and they work really well for this. So I'm just pinching that together so they don't come undone. If you need to go ahead and tie each layer off, go ahead and do that. So I'm using the purple again just to mix it up, still doing 6 inches. So you just make your loop, you pinch the ribbon or gather it and pinch it in the center, twist the ribbon, make your next loop. And just do as many loops and tails as you want. So I'm doing 2 on this one as well. Again, everything is 6 inches so far. Just stacking them together. Make sure the center of everything is all gathered together and pinched together so it doesn't come undone. Now this is a 2.5 inch width ribbon. I'm still doing 6 inches on the tail, but the 6-inch loop was way too small. So I'm going 8 inches on this loop. Just gather that, form your loop. Pinch it together. I'm just making sure the loop is going to show from the rest of the bow. I don't want them hiding. So twist that ribbon, measure it out, 8 inches, gather that together, form your next loop, twist that ribbon. Just keep making as many loops as you want. I want to make sure this one stands out since it's at the very back of the bow. I want to still be able to see that pretty ribbon. So I got 4 loops and 2 tails for this one. I'm carefully stacking everything together, make sure that the center is lined up for each layer. And then I'm taking this tinsel wire instead of a chenille stem because it's longer and it's thick, and this is a nice thick bow, so I want to make sure I can really gather that in the center. You want to pull that, after you carefully wrap that around the center, you want to pull that as tight as you can and then give it a few twists so it's nice and secure. So just twist that and then flip it over and then check all your loops, make sure they're straight, fluff them out, move your tails around however you need to. Just make sure everything looks pretty. Just move it all around how it needs to be. You can stick your fingers in the loops and kind of fluff them out, move them around however you need to. Now I need to trim off the ends. I'm going to do a V shape in all of them. So all those tails need to do that. So back to the sign, it's all dry. You can just run your chenille stem through there, and then I'm giving it a twist. Doing all 4 of those. You can run it up and down or through the side. It's open on both sides. It's a little square and then it's got plastic on each side. I don't know how to describe it. I can't really get a good close-up, but you just run it through there if you've never seen these. Now that I get all those attached, I just put the sign on top of the wreath where I want it, making sure that my bow is going to look good too. So before I start attaching things, I just want to kind of make sure that everything's going to look like how I want it to. Just carefully take those chenille stems between the deco mesh, wherever you can find a spot, and just run it through that between the deco mesh. I don't like to run it actually into the deco mesh. I like to find gaps in the deco mesh and then run it through there and just flip it over and make sure there's a wire, part of the wire form between the 2 chenille stems, and then just tie it off. I like to give it a couple of good twists first, pull them snug, give them a couple of twists, keep flipping it over and make sure that your sign is where you want it and it's as snug as you want it, that you don't have it too tight and you don't have it too loose. And then you can go ahead and tie them off and twist them off good. Now I'm putting my bow on there, and again giving it a couple of twists to make sure it's where I want and how I want it. And once I get everything on there good, I'll make sure that all those ends of those chenille stems are twisted around that wire form and hidden really well and nothing's sticking out and poking out. So once you attach your bow, you want to move it around and move your tails around and make sure everything is where you want it. And you can kind of pull on your tails and curve them a little bit like I'm doing here. Look how cute that is. Now I'm going to add some tails throughout the wreath. And I'm doing 10 inches for these. I'm just checking it and making sure 10 inches is going to be the right length I want it to be. So just testing it first. And then I'm cutting 5 purple and 5 green. And again, you have to cut the ends of these and make them look pretty. So I'm doing a V shape. You don't have to do a V shape. That's just the most common way to do it. And you can try to cut 2 at once, but no more than that. It'd be too difficult, and they probably wouldn't look good. So I like to make an X out of the 2 ribbons, and then fold it over so you find the center, and then just gather it in the middle there in the center, and just attach it to your wreath form. And you've already got ties, or I already do. I have ties on there, so I'm just going to use those ties to twist it around. Again, you want to pull that tight and give it a couple of twists. And then if you're not adding anything else in there, you can either fold those down, or I'm taking a pencil and I'm curling them around the pencil so they're just cute little spirals in there. And again, I'm kind of pulling on those tails to make them kind of curl. And I'm doing 3 around the bottom and 2 at the top. So doing this after I attach my sign, I don't have to worry about covering them up with my sign and them not being seen and wasting all that ribbon. It's up to you how you want to do it, but I just prefer not to waste that ribbon if I don't have to. Again, I'm taking a pencil and just curling those tinsel wire ends so they're just spiraled a little bit, and it just gives it a little cute appearance. You can fold them down if you want to, and you can just roll them down too. So now I'm going to add some floral picks. These are all glitter floral picks. This one has birds on it. So just running it through the wreath form. There's 2 wires there, so I'm just pulling it through there and then flipping it over to see how far down I need to pull it. This is a pretty long one, so that's why I'm attaching it at the bottom. And then you just want to bend that and run it around the wreath form, because I'm going to attach it to the wreath form, so I need it kind of even with it. So just bending it and then kind of sticking it in there, just shoving it the end down in there where it's not sticking out. Now you can take chenille stems, floral wire, or cable ties to attach this to the wreath form. I'm using cable ties. These are 4-inch cable ties, so they're small. And this floral pick is got a thick stem, so this will work good. You just want to pull it as tight as you can and then cut off those ends. And then kind of rotate that end where the sharp edge isn't sticking out. So I'm doing several there, as many as I can, just to make sure it's nice and secure on there. And if you need to add a little hot glue to it and the wire form, you can do that too. Just be careful you're not getting a whole bunch on there. Here's a little green leaves, glitter leaves. And the reason why I put that little tray down, it's just a small tray, but it's about a couple inches thick, and I'm laying it where the sign is on top of it. That way I'm not smashing my bow when I'm turning over my wreath. So now I'm taking floral wire, because this stem is really thin, so cable tie is not going to be real secure on it. So I'm taking some floral wire and wrapping it around really good, and now I'm taking a cable tie as an extra security. And then just bending that around. And then now I'm taking this purple one and putting it with the blue, and this one has butterflies on it. It's really cute with these little glitter butterflies. And you can bend those all around and just make it look like the butterflies are flying around the wreath. I think it's so pretty. And I love all the colors on the sign, so I'm trying to bring all those colors on the wreath as well. So I'm just doing the same thing with the purple one I did with the blue one. Just attaching a bunch of cable ties and pulling them tight. Make sure I got it all nice and secure. And just bend those around however you want. It's a really fun thing to do. You can bend those birds around, make them sit different ways. You could even cut those off and just attach them to different parts of the wreath, or on the sign itself. You could glue them to the sign if you wanted to. Now I'm taking one chenille stem, just wrapping around the top of the wreath form, and just making a loop so it's a nice little hanger. It's another option for somebody for hanging it. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and don't forget to tap the bell for notifications. And I hope you comment, share, like, and please be kind to others. Thanks so much.